Good afternoon. It happens to be a beautiful day, and today happens to be the last Wednesday, rather Thursday, of the month of October 2021. We're live from Kampala's Serena Conference Center. I'm Andrew Chamagero, and today we're talking Uganda First. Today in the studios with me, I have Honorable Edson Rugumayo, who happens to be the Youth Member of Parliament from the West. And with me still in studio, I have John Jackson Bakali-Kwira, the Commissioner from the National Guidance and the Minister of ICT and National Guidance. The conversation and the hashtag is Uganda First. Be a part of the conversation on Twitter, on Facebook, and on Instagram. Even those on YouTube. I'll pick a little bit of the comments a little later. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon, Andrew.
Good to see you, and good to have this conversation. Now, today we are going to look at how do we form the national unity. What elements do we need to look at to form the national unity? Edson, earlier on when we were having a chit-chat, I told you that the election of the youth members of parliament, it leaves a very big rift, even just in your party. Even in the other forums, it leaves a very big rift that it worries me. By the next time we come for elections, I don't know how you mend fences. So for you as a youth MP, how have you mend fences, Kwanzaa, with your compatriots you're battling with a few months ago?
Good afternoon, our dear viewers, and thank you, Andrew. First of all, allow me to thank the Secretariat for Patriotism Corps for facilitating this conversation. Now, particularly on that issue, usually it is a way, it is a perspective with which you view a contest. For example, we can say before you become youth member of parliament, you first go through the primaries and then go to a general election. So when we are campaigning in the NRM primaries, we are all people brought together by the same ideology, that we believe in the four principles of the NRM. And so when a colleague one goes through, you come on and say, hey,
you congratulate them.
You congratulate them and say, hey, let's move forward. We are all NRM and we move forward. General election is over, and you say, hello, I think you had a very good idea on this. Let's move together. Let's work together on this. So I think mending, we have done so well. There are some people I ran with, and by the end of the election, they were actually my managers. They were managing my campaign. Someone manages my schedule. At this time, you should have this meeting, and yet they were candidate. You are running together. That shows the solidarity that we have as an party. Yeah, but of course, even there are those who we contested together in the general election. And after we sit and take tea and say, hey, what is your opinion on this? And
then you move forward.
Yeah, that is patriotism.
Commissioner Bakali-Kwira, when you hear this kind of conversation vis-a-vis what you see today online, there is rage, anger, wrath that is streaming online. Even just in the usual way, if we go down and we sample, it's, you can tell there is untold rage. I don't know where it's coming from. From your lenses, as a commissioner, you've dealt more with this than us before. What could be the push factors to this?
Thank you very much, Comrade Chamagero, and happy to meet my brother, Honorable Rugumayo. And I thank the NTV for consistently driving this mission. Driving the mission of tapping into the mindset, shaping the people's outlook, how we look at our society. And when you bring this factor of unity, is very, very fundamental. And vis-a-vis patriotism and vis-a-vis society is very fundamental. But before I go further, let me, as a national guider, I should correct. I'm not the commissioner for national guidance. I'm Assistant Commissioner for National Guidance.
Assistant Commissioner.
So that people out there, they don't look at me as a masquerade.
They don't confuse it.
They don't confuse it. There's a commissioner. That could be a push factor to conflict.
Yes,
yeah.
Clarity.
Clarity is very clear. When you ask about push factor, that could be a push factor to the confusion. Then I go and meet my commissioner. He's not smiling at me. Why? Because when I was on this program,
you didn't clarify.
I didn't clarify. So
Thank you.
So that aside, I think you put it right. We should first of all understand the reality. The reality today, there are contradictions within parties and other parties, which is not correct. When you are building a democracy, we assume that when you belong to one party, you must first of all be solid together because you are addressing the same constitution, addressing the same manifesto, addressing the same aspirations, therefore debate, contesting for that space to fulfill your programs. But now what's the reality in Uganda today? The reality is that there's a lot missing. You find many people on the same party, they go and contest. When you review, I like the media has went to screens and pulls out those pictures when people are now contesting within them internal primaries. They are not very good. That speaks a lot of volumes. Therefore, to you and me, it gives us a lot of work and Gurukumayo. That yes, we are now at party democracy. We must put some fundamental factors in place to cause us to move the top of the party we subscribe to. But what are those factors that make you now bond together, which many people don't look at? At all parties, I think that they have some principles and values they subscribe to. Values and principles of the party help you to bond together. Regardless. But when they are not seen, they are not appreciated, they will never bond you together. So there must be a deliberate program to pull out those values and principles. He has talked about the NRM party having its 4 pillars. Yes, they are there. Patriotism, number 1. Pan-Africanism, number 2. Democracy, number 3. Socio-economic transformation, number 4. Yes, they are there. But are people appreciating, are they making meaning of them?
Do they even understand?
Do they understand them? Take a yardstick about members who will subscribe to NRM as I want to use that one as an example. How many understand
the ideology?
The ideology, the pillars of that ideology. Those 4 pillars make the ideology of the NRM party. But unfortunately, which is a reality, yes, they are there, and good enough, the founding father distilled them and told them that these should guide our ideology. But much as that, but little is heard and known about them. Regardless of class, by the way.
Little is
from the grassroots to the topmost.
And
you see,
Rugmai, when you hear the Mr. Bakalikwida making that clear that yes, these principles are there. Yes, they make sense. If you follow them critically, maybe you could appreciate where government is going and what is being done. When we come to our generation, how best can we address the issue of information gap? Because we could look to the Unity Forum and we could look at the Unity agenda, but we can only reach there if we have the information. What is alluding to is that the information is there, but we have not understood it, especially my generation and your generation. How do we bridge the gap of the information age?
Thank you so much. Indeed, it is true. And especially with young people, our generation, it is quite complicated. For example, as you noted, when I was coming here, people were saying, I hope you're not going to talk about patriotism in the angle of
context of NRM.
The context of NRM. and of course, a little bit you sit back and think, of course, am I supposed not to talk about it when it is right to talk about it? But one must understand our generation first to know why this happens to us. We are lucky, but also somehow unlucky, that we are born in an era where the world is just a global village. Sitting in my living room, I can clearly see what life is in a certain big city, let's say in the US, what life is in London, what life is, and as humans, we are built to covet what is nice and what is good. And then sometimes we run away from the reality that the commissioner was talking about. We run away from that reality and want to live in what we see and covet. What we sometimes lack as a generation is to dig deeper and now bring it to context in our country and say, hey, I have seen that and now I am here. I must first track what did they do to get to there? How long has it taken them to get to that point? Where am I on the scale of time? What you're seeing in a certain good city took them around 2 centuries to build to that. And yet here in Uganda, we just celebrated our 59th independence. We are still a young country. So it is very important, and this is why we come here to discuss patriotism. That patriotism, one, you love and devote yourself to the country. You put it first. and say above my individualism, there should be a level that my country is of higher purpose than my individualism, my personal purpose. So, and that means that you will sit down and try to understand your country. Life is best understood when you tell it in stories.
Yeah, true.
I've been a product of patriotism corps, and that is why I love them so much. And that is why when they called me, I said I should be present. You know, from high school when I was a young boy, I said I will not go into prefecture. I'll go into patriotism. I need to understand. And the moment I said let me belong to the National Patriotism Corps, there are some questions that came from that. It was a question, but why should I love my country? Anyway, should I be taught to love my country? Those questions started coming, and then I had to go deeper. I remember frantically running to the library and trying to read as much as I could to understand my country. And you know, people will always say, you see, maybe history is shelved and maybe given this perspective of one party over the other. No, I said, if you want really to read the history,
go and read.
You go and read it. You find it wherever it is. You don't find one that is in one angle. You find and try to see all perspectives.
And then you make your own.
You make your own conclusion. So I said I should sit down and read and understand. So I began to appreciate.
Now you see, there was an effort from you, intentional effort, that you went down to dig the information. We are in an age where information is on phones, it's on the portals and all that, but still we are not a reading country. How best can we bridge that? Because at the end of the day, believe you me, you and I, however big we build those walls, those people will jump over the walls and they'll get in here.
And that is why we are here. We must make our way. You know, Andrew, what is quite surprising, when we think of nation building, we think of men with shovels, men with spades, men mixing mortar and what? No. Every time we speak to the spirit of our country. All countries are built with words. All nations are built with declarations, with constitution. All those are words. So every time we have an opportunity here and we speak, we are speaking to a generation of young people. And we must tell them that beside all what we see outside, we must hold our country as a treasure. We must love it. When you're given an opportunity, you must make a contribution because it is an opportunity. So that is why we are here to talk about patriotism.
Now, Commissioner, Assistant Commissioner Bakari Kwira, I want you to give me, what he's saying brings me now to a context of commitment and interested. How do we differentiate those kind of Ugandans who are interested in patriotism, but they are not committed? And the ones who are committed, how do they cross over to commitment and they hold on to it and they deliver?
Comrade Chamagero, before I go there, Honorable has put it clearly here that he was driven by the structure of patriotism.
From school.
From school. That's an institution. So you can never say that now one will get there naturally. There must be institutions that nurture
the patriotism.
That nurture that feeling, that give you space to talk to the spirit. Here we are here in this institution. It is giving us space to talk to the spirits of humanity, Ugandans. So to me, my view is we should be able to strengthen the institutions of government, of society, of the private sector, all those ones in totality. Strengthen them so that they can talk patriotism. Because, yes, it comes from the NRM perspective, but then I'm coming from government. We are looking at the whole of society. We are looking at the whole of government.
Government serves everyone.
Serves everyone. We are looking at the key ingredients that will be able to shape the society called Uganda. And then how shall we change the narrative in that direction? So that's why we said we must appreciate, the reality is that we need to spur the society into a patriotic mindset.
Nice.
You know, just on to add on, Commissioner, you know, it has always been a question is, can you teach a young person to love their country?
Yeah, that's one is a...
You know, it always comes up, eh?
And it's on Twitter already.
It is, it is.
And someone was bringing it in a perspective. Can you teach your child to love you? And you know, when I was discussing with someone, I said, do you need to teach your child to love you? What do you teach your child to love you?
Yes,
definitely.
There has to be an effort.
Yes, there must be the effort.
Every time you love your child, they are forced to love you back.
They reciprocate what you give them.
If you throw hate onto your child,
they will hate you.
They will hate you.
Yes.
So, by all means, as a country, it is a responsibility that you must
love your country.
You must tell the child to love their country. You must teach them. Let me tell you, for example, a child born in the US.
Just a minute. Before you go there, I was developing my
direction. Your analogy.
Yes, but I understand your passion for it. Talk about that's why I have a moderator here.
Yes.
Yes. You see, when we are now looking at what are the avenues of teaching,
schools,
family. Start with family. From family.
Yes.
It is the center of inculcation of values.
Yes.
You see, when we talk about teaching, people assume that now we are talking about the classroom board and whatever.
Yes.
But we are looking at the family as a unit of inculcation of values. And that's why they say, social science say, the family is the best unit of society.
Yeah, true.
And in Uganda here, like even other communities, if you are bad behaved, they say, omwana tebamukuza bulungi. Yava makachi. That this child was not well nurtured.
Yep.
Because you are not well nurtured at that level, therefore you are bad mannered. Then from there they go to you see the level of inculcation. These are the areas that we look at. Those are serious teaching centers. And in our cultural values, even they say that when a mother is pregnant, if she behaves badly, the kid also will reciprocate. People of psychology have got an explanation to that. But then when the child is born, the mother first of all brings the child, gets the warmth. That expression of love is expression of teaching.
Yes.
If now a child misses the mother tendering, definitely the child will behave differently. That's why in our constitution they say parenting is a national duty.
True.
Is a critical duty constitutionally because it's a center of creating the character that you have. So those ones who are out there who try to undermine the process of patriotism as a critical area of inculcating the values that can build unity, those are our adversaries. Those should be judged in that direction because communities that have developed across the world have really nurtured the concept of patriotism. Let us look about the American so-called democracy. They are the first number one to teach patriotism at the infant level.
True.
And for them, they do it even in a very aggressive way. That they even move to a level of radicalizing the infants.
Yes.
Telling them that now, when you look at the other side of the world, those are our enemies. They go to that excess.
Yes.
Then when you look at the Eastern world, then you bring out now China.
China, yes.
China. What have they done? They said, Chairman said that the tonic to our revolution is ideological discipline. True. Teaching. So the essence of that now, some people, as you rightly put it, that they say we should not teach, we should not, they are as if they are claiming that we should destroy our value system.
Yes.
So that one should be handled with the weight it deserves. Those are our number one enemies.
Oh, yeah.
So when you are talking about the space of the young generation, yes, today we agree that there is now the .com era. But you don't remember that the .com era is managed by human beings. Those young, the youth, the youth who are now running, who are posting on these others, they come from somewhere, and they belong to families. So if we want to cause the young youth to use internet productively, that can support transformation, you inculcate the values, and then they will do it very well.
Wow.
Thank you. Now over to you two.
No. Before you come back to him, you had not answered my question.
Yes.
I was looking at interested and committed.
Okay.
There are those who are interested in patriotism, but they don't want to commit because interesting is convenient. But commitment will go a little bit notch higher. So how do we cross from just being interested in our country and we get committed to our country?
There's one thing which we must do. Commitment doesn't come from nowhere. There are certain factors that drive to commitment.
Like?
Values. Constitutional principles. When you teach and learn them, then they drive you into commitment.
Okay.
Yes. Say that now I'm committed because I understand that I must love my neighbor as I love myself. It's a principle.
Okay.
Love your God with all your spirit, with all your heart, like that. So even in the material world, there are principles that now drive us into commitment, and those must be taught. So now we are saying here, one of the fundamental principles that must drive our country into the commitment to patriotism is the principle of patriotism.
Well, there you go. The conversation is still running, and on Twitter, a couple of you are sending in feedback, and I'll tap a little of that. We're talking Uganda first. Before you do anything, before you think about yourself, well, your country comes first. It is the motherboard of which we all spring, and then we can go to the rest of the world. You can never sow until you appreciate your motherland. I'll take a break for now, and when we return, we talked to a couple of people on the streets and they gave us some feedback. We'll play that and then we'll be back in studios. Good afternoon. The Uganda First conversation we're having here. Now, earlier on, we went to the streets and we asked our fellow countrymen on how best we would sell Uganda to the outside world without these hashtags that are, you know, at times very alarmist of sorts. But how best can we sell Uganda? And this is what fellow did.
In terms of its qualities. And when marketing a country like Uganda, we should put into consideration two things. One, Uganda is a very beautiful country and we have a stable government, which is a very good positive. And marketing an image of a country abroad entails very many things. But first, we have to make sure we treat it as if we are marketing our own business. How would you want it to be seen outside? All of us should be ambassadors of our own country, whether you're in a local status, whether you're flying out, whether you're within. So whenever you go out, whether you've gone to take a cup of tea in a restaurant, whether you've gone to the village, to the countryside, just make sure when you take a picture, just tag in hashtag in Uganda, hashtag in Uganda. Social media has become a very big positive. Second of all, the expos are so good in terms of marketing the image of the country. Very many people abroad, very many people out there don't know about Uganda. Not because we are not doing enough, but we just need to add to what we are doing. We should, whenever there's an expo in a country, whether in Europe, whether in Asia, whether in Northern Africa, we just need to make appearance. Like the Dubai World Expo that is happening, it's a good appearance that the country is making. And we take the music art industry to be a very important industry in the country. But what we don't know that it does a lot. Like for example, Azawi made it to the Times Square in the States because of her new album, and she's going to represent Uganda in the YouTube concerts that are happening soon. That is a very positive thing. Eddie Kenzo also did it. Is a very good thing. But the more we make more appearances in those big platforms, it takes us a long way towards where we want to be.
Currently, social media is like full of comedy. You put a comment, it trends, and then people will be like, which country is this guy from? And that will be, of course, Uganda. Emphasizing the use of local languages, regardless of where you've traveled. More than the other thing can be use of slogans. It's like slogans, the Pearl of Africa, the Virgin Uganda, which attracts people. And I think we can have a tourism radio or TV. Like in other countries, they have national tourism TVs, like Kenya it has, like Tanzania has, and all other countries.
Not only Uganda, but the whole Africa, we all have something we have, which is culture. So I think the best way to market ourselves as Uganda I would prefer to use our cultures. We have culture sites. In the Western civilization, they don't have a lot of culture. Most of them, for example, like Oba, they actually don't have culture like what we have, and most of them are influencing our own culture. So I believe for us to be able to market our thing, we should use the culture we have. For example, traditional dances, traditional outfits like kanzus. Kanzus are very nice things to wear. It's like a long dress but for men. Gomeses, and yeah, I would use the cultural aspects of Uganda, and because we have very many clans, we have over 30 clans.
We can make it our Uganda through developing the tourism centers we have in our country, in Fort Potro, in Buindi, through exposing them to internet so that we can attract those foreigners we can expose them on social media, internet, all websites, so that the foreigners can get to know of the events in Uganda, so that they can be attracted to come in within that, and they bring in the involvement.
Uganda engaging in international sports. Talk about the Olympics, where one of our own, Kiprotich, won the race. That one only sold Uganda to other people who never knew them. Also giving out scholarships to the foreigners study from the great universities like Makerere. Also calling investors to come and invest more in Uganda.
The best way we can sell our country to other countries is by promoting the word of God. It is key. This country belongs to God. And this country is not for us. It is for God. As the motto says, for God and my country. As Ugandans, we need to surrender this country to God.
Well, you heard the opinions of, the great people of this country, and the very last one was, very concrete, for good and my country. Just so you know that this show is brought to you by the National Patriotism Corps, Uganda, and not forgetting that you and I are part of this conversation. The hashtag is Uganda First on Twitter and on the different platforms. You heard that, Edson, how we are selling Uganda to the outside world. A lot that was saying was a lot in the ICT. How best can we tap into the creative innovation brains of this country to use it to cascade this conversation beyond borders?
Of course, IT is a whole firm foundation that this country can use to market itself.
But do we understand it as a country?
Yeah, of course it is understood. It is among the first 4 sectors that this country emphasizes very much. Even though it is unfolding slowly, because this deals with the transfer of technology, but we all appreciate if you reached anywhere, you said, how best can I market, can I tell a story of Uganda outside? Someone would say the easiest way is IT, it is social media. So it is something that you cannot do away with. It is a fact, and we understand it. And it is the only best avenue we can use actually to tell the stories of Uganda to the world across. So it is very fundamental.
Mr. Bakali, what do you make of what you heard from the fellow countrymen on the ground?
It's very interesting. From what I picked from them, their information is cross-cutting. First of all, they are saying that yes, we must move as a united Uganda. We have a duty of marketing our country. That's one success that they are talking.
All of us.
All of us. That's one success. They are all talking that now we should go there. Then they're talking about the methodology of how we move. We can market.
Forward,
Of course, it's diverse. And as one of our narratives said that now we must appreciate that we are a country which is in diversity. But regardless, we must move together and be able to achieve our national good.
Now, Mr. Bakali, right there, given that at times we have divisions basing on tribal lines and political parties and all, what are those avenues do we have that can bring us together and we say, okay, here we are all Ugandans, and we can maybe galvanize that, and then from there we can be in position to spread?
One of them is what we are talking about, preaching the word of patriotism. There's no shortcut. We must preach the word of patriotism. And we don't preach it from a sectarian way that now we politicize it, but you know that it's our fundamental principle
as a country.
When you read the Constitution, it's a very interesting document. They put it as a duty of every citizen. It's the duty of every citizen to be patriotic and loyal to his country. So when we pick it from that level, then we can use all the avenues around our space, like the social media, as you have talked today. We have the social media. So we should teach people the values of patriotism so that they manage social media in a patriotic manner, so that what they are posting there is contributing to the transformation of this country. It's contributing to marketing this country, because social media goes miles away. But what you put there is most important.
is what matters.
I want to see all like what you saw, Chiprotich, sportsman. He's carrying the flag. Cheptegei is carrying the flag, and everybody is celebrating.
Yeah.
In that kind of position, I assume that every person is attaching the Ugandan spirit in that, and then when he hosts the flag, every Ugandan will say, yes, that's our country, because that symbol that is identifying us as Uganda, as Ugandan. So that kind of spirit should be ignited.
Wow.
We should take a trouble to be able to teach every Ugandan in all aspects our national symbols which bond us together. The Reverend was talking about Forgotten My Country. But when you look at now, how many Ugandans understand the national anthem as a creed, which is calling, "O Uganda, may God uphold thee, we left in thy hand." Then the emblem. Then how many people understand the coat of arms, the national symbols? It's a little bit alarming. That's why now we should use all structures available to use the opportunity of teaching and packing these symbols so that they enter the spirit of us, so that now they influence our action.
Oh. Yeah. So trigger the spirit and then the actions.
Then trigger the spirit, yes.
When I come to you, Edson, there's been something trending online, I think, in the last 3 or 2 days. It was on the tribal lines. How best can we go against the tribal lines to strengthen the unity we have? You know the tweet. I won't mention the tweet.
Is that compliant?
Yes, it's an open secret.
They were crazy.
Yes, tweet.
You see, Andrew, my humble opinion on tribe is I've always seen even the mere use of the word tribe for me sometimes goes against.
It's derogatory. It is deliberate by our detractors.
As something that is barbaric.
Yes.
You know, they used to say the barbarian tribes of this.
Yes.
I even sometimes try to diminish it and say, let me use a fair word.
Yes.
Community. Let me say
community. Yes.
Because here, tribe is what was used to divide.
Yes, the country is.
Unfortunately, this country has so many tribes. We have over 56 tribes. None of the tribes can call themselves superior because none of us can make even 15%
of the
let alone
entire country.
Managing Uganda. Just 15% of the country.
That's true.
They can't. And then clearly that is when we see and say, hey, we are hitting an end. There is nothing we can do about. It is pointless.
Pointless indeed, yes.
Trying to emanciate a small cog of a very large system.
Yes.
When will you ever prize I don't want to use the word tribe, but when will you ever prize your community? Okay, let me say the word tribe. Tribe to defeat the other 56. You find it pointless.
Yes.
That is why, like Commissioner was saying, it is very important that we now focus on things that really bring us together as a country. Our young people must appreciate some symbols. For example, if we talk of the coat of arms, if we talk of the crested crane, it is beautiful. We must embrace some of those symbols that bring us together as a country. Earlier on, people would say maybe religion. I don't believe religion can really unite us because people tried galvanizing it to unite, and then also
we had religious wars.
Divided us further. What we should be committed as a country, what should unite us, is one, the desire for transformation. That is what we should desire. That should be core entrenched in every person. That our goal is to work hard and transform this country and live better lives. You know, I have always had, when you listen to Muntu, you will say, this country needs to develop a critical mass. Then you will listen to the President, President Museveni says, this country needs to grow this class, the cosmopolitan class. These are very important aspects.
But do Ugandans understand the critical mass Mugisha Muntu is talking about?
And
what the President is saying?
And this is what we should do. We should. Life should be about what unites us here as a country. When I look at Andrew, is what opportunities can Andrew give me, and what can I give them?
Opportunities give them back here.
And you will find it in life, in reality, that it is better when I diminish the tribal sentiments, because you will find a few things, just a few things your tribe mates or you can help you in. For example, personally, I come from a very minority community, which is of even less than 20,000 people in this country, in a population of 46 million. My people are not even 20,000. And yet, when I had ideas and views, I said, hey, young people, can we rally together?
From different
sets, all sets of communities. So you realize there is very little that my community could have done to get me where I am. And yet there is a lot that I could get from understanding that
the mission and the agenda.
The mission and the agenda. So our agenda is what should
bring us together.
It is, you can't love the country by passing through religion, no. It should be my country, my devotion to work, transform myself, be better, and that is the best way.
Commissioner Bakali Kwida, he makes a very pertinent issue here. I love the fact that he says that regardless of where you come from and the different walks of life you come from, it's incumbent on us to put Uganda at the core of what we do. Of late, I've seen a couple of people leaving the country and they go and they will praise a lot of countries. Oh, you've not been here. Oh, you've not seen this. There is always some community, they always compare it with Uganda, which is, I think it's ironical, depending on what our society structures are. But moving forward, as we're forming the unity, when schools were still open and the universities, we used to meet under the patriotism clubs and all that. From the village level, how best can we galvanize this conversation? That men and the youth are not meeting just for drinks and marua and merrymaking, but they meet for purposes of these conversations. When you were growing, you had the Mayumba Kumi model. It worked on you. It helped you to know what you need. It shaped a lot of characters and all. In the event that we don't have Mayumba Kumis anymore in our generation, what can we do?
Very interesting. But you have the LOCs. Even you have they are more than the Mayumba Kumi of our times. But one interesting thing in that is today government has put a program in place, the parish model. Bringing activities, using the parish as a developmental area, which Honorable was talking about as a transformational unit. So in that parish model, there is also a pillar of community mobilization and mindset change. So if now actors are helped to understand that, and then we take the community mobilization at that level, because when you put the inputs at the parish level, also the community must be mobilized to appreciate them and put them to use. You must change their mindset to appreciate that even at that level, it's their duty to use those facilities to transform themselves. And that one goes with also other related kind of literature. So that is a good space for us to do, to utilize. And we should all Ugandans be able to put our energies at that level. Andrew, as we are conversing, you moved around the whole country.
Yes, I've been around the entire country.
And by the way, it's
forcefully though.
Also, conscription can also help you to become patriotic. It's one window. But now, we don't want to use that approach because His Excellency has already gathered. Let us use the mass line.
Yes.
Be people-oriented.
Yes.
And I hope that all leaders who are listening, and as people listening to us, that they should use the mass line to go at the parish level, to mobilize the community at that level, which is not very big, and inculcate these values at this level, so that when the material goods are brought into their parish, to use them to transform their lives, they find a soft ground, a changed ground, which will be looking at transformation. There's one thing which leadership of this country did. Do you know that they gave us a national vision?
Yes.
We have a national vision.
All of us,
we must focus there.
Yes.
So we must make the national vision live and be seen from the grassroots.
Yes.
When the government changed hands in 1986, there was the 10-point program. You remember that one?
Yes,
you read about it?
I remember the 10 points program.
Yes. People did not have it, but the leadership brought it and put efforts in propagating it. Within a year, every village, every corner of this country was talking about 10-point program. And they were addressing the security concerns in the 10-point program. So even today, when now we use the parish model as an area of entry, and we go there and inculcate the patriotic values, appreciate that we are using them to achieve the transformation we are talking about, then this whole country will be able to move, and we shall be able to have the desirable national unity.
When I go on Twitter here, Honorable Ampere Crescent, he goes that, Andrew, Uganda's opposition and the media have also played a big role to fight patriotism. The media should provide information concerning the positivity and the good prospects about our nation, commitment and love for our country. Our nation will then prevail.
Wonderful.
Yes, thank you so much for that feedback. Nwamanya Isaac says that we should expose the corrupt. If we are going to be patriotic, we should expose the corrupt. Hillary MK equally says that's my take home. We should expose the corrupt. And there was someone here who sent a very good tweet. Okay, okay, Joel Gaddafi, don't choose violence on Twitter. I want to say that we're conversing about Uganda first. If your tweet is a little bit, you know, not civil, believe you me, I won't read it. Someone here says, that's a very good conversation. I love this. But now we are having this in only English. Do we have more of this content in other languages to cover the 50 plus clusters of languages in this country, Commissioner?
That's a wonderful thing. Actually,
I think this is apparent.
It's apparently, yes. When I hear those kind of calls,
yes,
I feel so much energized, which means they are appreciating the conversation, and they are saying there's another window which we can use. Yes, you should take it upon ourselves, the media and government, those agents that's concerned. We translate these values into the acceptable local languages. Then we use, we identify the influencers. Because when I take a Chamagero, say that please go to Jinja and talk this one in Lusoga.
Yes.
Much as you were socialized in Muiri,
yes,
you talk and people say, hey, Chamagero is talking nonsense.
Yes.
When? So I think that's a very good thing, which we, and the Honorable who is in Parliament, which is the epitome of directing some of these programs. When legislation comes to support that, I'm sure it'll be number one to support it. That let us do that one. Support the agencies in place. Patriotism Co-Secretariat. Support national guidance. Support the media industry. Support all those influencers of the mind to be able to roll out the agenda.
All right, someone here says that UCC has the powers to fight negativity on social media. Tribalism can be eliminated if we get one unifying factor, which is patriotism. No matter what languages, once there is an element of love and unity among us all tribes, then we shall all prevail. Thank you so much. The conversation is still going. Then Ethan Williams on Twitter says, love of our country and shared pride bring the people together. Now helping them rather endure the challenges. Few countries survive and prosper without some degrees of patriotic feelings among their people. Then this one says, a very great conversation. Andrew, I'm in South Korea, but I have been in their schooling curriculum. Patriotism is embedded in everything you must do. Long story short, you can never be qualified to do any government job if you never went through an equivalent of their National Leadership Institute, which is Chankwanzi back here. That is in South Korea. Now that brings me to this question. We have the National Leadership Institute, Chankwanzi. It is only one. Do you feel we need more of those from a regional perspective, that we have one in the east, one in, then we have the one, the grand, that unites us all?
Definitely, we needed them yesterday, not today.
Last year.
We needed them last year. We need several of that.
Yes.
That is why this time we shall be discussing the national service scheme. It is very important to tap young people at a certain level before they get exposed to what we see on social media ground, and then inculcate these values. As you know, some people try to say this is indoctrination. No. And it is unfortunate. It's unfortunate that people will say that is indoctrination.
When you go to Chankwanzi, you're being indoctrinated. But you see, the model of South Korea, I think it works for them. That before, when you meet any accountant.
But you see, South Africa, South Korea is far-fetched. Even our neighbors here in Kenya have a national service scheme where the youth are taught that these are values.
As Kenyans.
You see, and you know,
that national consciousness.
I've also seen some people complain that why are the patriots in school clubs called cops, not any other thing. Let me tell you, my humble opinion is that the military is the highest echelon of patriotism.
True.
For a soldier who leaves their parents, their family home, and goes to battle to defend the pride of their country, not knowing any second a bullet can come their way and they have no life. That is the highest echelon of patriotism. And that is why we tried our level best to inculcate that discipline of saying self down, country first. That is very important. So if it should have been done yesterday, that so many
these
young
institutions
people have access and they can be taught, well-grounded, view our history. Okay, if there is a complaint of people are worried about what the curriculum should be like, let it be open that the public can debate, can discuss on what should be taught. But what we agree as a country is that there needs to be teaching of this nature, and then later we discuss what should be taught. That is very much important.
Wow. Assistant Commissioner, as you're finalizing this conversation, you had the feedback from online. It seems you have voices of positivity on the other end. Those who have issues, they're saying expose the corrupt and all, and we can't leave them behind. The media, we have failed the patriotism of this country. How best can we bridge that?
First of all, you know very well that the media is very critical.
Yes, it is.
So how best is we should be the first drivers of teaching of patriotism. When past saying, as you said, when we pass saying that let us decentralize the ideological centers, let us go. The media should be number one. We say, okay, fine, we can cause regional epicenters for teaching ideology. Should be number one. This kind of distortion where people come up and they demonize ideology, deliberately though, should be fought by the media. So the positioning of the media is very, very critical. And that's why I'm very, very happy about this space which you have. And because the media is now is the word of today. Those in politics, the media. Those in transformation, the media. But how about those in ideology?
They call it the fourth arm of government.
Fourth arm of government. It should be now driven, demand-driven. That now the agenda is demand-driven. That now, yes, as a media, we regard our key position in transforming society, and we are number one claimants of the national ideology. And when we claim it and take it and embrace it, the patriotic ideology, then I'm sure this country will be able to change.
The country
you know, my comment on media is very simple. You see, this country, Uganda, is the most liberal in terms of what media is.
Yes, true.
This country has over
at 300, times.
Over 300
at times
radio stations. No, in Africa here, we are the best. We are the first one country that is liberal. In the media.
Yes, that is in the ownership, but in the practice, comrade.
In the practice, even in the practice,
it's heavy.
You see, some countries, even the countries that we look at and say, I should be in this country, regulate so much
of what comes out,
what the communities consume, coming from media.
Than here.
Here, everyone is free. Who taps in to listen to what every radio station is doing. But what is most important is that social media, of course, is challenging. I've been to countries where up to now, they are still, even developed countries, they are still faced with a big challenge of saying, how can we handle social media? And then, but what they are using now is we can confront social media by intensifying a good message on traditional media for now.
Well, the conversation can never end, but we still have these conversations running on Twitter. I want to thank those who have been on Twitter following the hashtag and being a part of the conversation. Thank you so much. This conversation cannot be here if it wasn't for the National Secretariat, rather the National Patriotism Secretariat COPS, that make sure that this conversation comes. And great thanks to all the guests that we have every other week to talk about patriotism. You have a duty, I have a duty. Before we play the blame game, let's first play our role. I'm Andrew Chamagirand. In studio with me, I had the Western Youth Member of Parliament, that is Edson Rugumayo, and of course I had Mr. Jonah Bakalikwira, the Assistant Commissioner from the Ministry of Gender and National ICT and National Guidance. Till next time, it is NTV and I'm Andrew Chamagiro. Good afternoon.